Well, welcome to another episode of Creighton's Right with David Creighton. We got a number of things to discuss today, but we're going to start right off with discussing some very good news. Tamara Lich was released on bail yesterday by a judge, a real judge, and that's very good news. Very good news for anybody who loves freedom and who was concerned that she was a political prisoner, because it certainly looked that way. And the judge was very careful in his summation and in his criticism of the previous justice of the peace, who really said some outrageous things. Said she had to be kept in jail because this was the only way to sustain faith in the Canadian justice system. I mean, how ludicrous, how incredibly ridiculous is that? So we're going to be dealing with three topics today. Right off the start, we're going to be talking about the update on the freedom fighters bail in jail. And we're going to be talking about last weekend's protest downtown Ottawa on Albert Street in front of the Embassy of the Netherlands, where people came out to show their support, not just for Dutch farmers, but for Canadian farmers who are being crowded out of using fertilizer. And this is going to have devastating, catastrophic consequences for all of us. We all eat food, right? We all need to sustain ourselves with food. This is a universal issue. Unfortunately, we always forget our farmers, but we'll be getting into that. And thirdly, huge news this week. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, who I have known from his days at the National Citizens Coalition, has endorsed Conservative leadership candidate Pierre Poilievre in that contest. And I think that's an emphatic way of Harper saying the party stays conservative in the future. So let's get on to our first subject here. This is fantastic news, and I want to refer here to Matthew Horwood, our Ottawa bureau chief, was there yesterday, and he recorded what the judge said and what happened, and it really is astounding, because if you recall, the last time I addressed this issue when the Justice of the Peace Harris essentially said very outrageous things about Tamara Lich, and said she had to be in jail. I mean, this is a 49-year-old grandmother who's never committed a crime before, and I doubt she's committed one here. This is a first-time charge. This is not a violent offense, and most people who are charged with mischief don't even think about going to jail. And she's already been in jail for 48 days. 48 days, and Pat King, who was finally released on bail, was in for 150 days. That's 5 months if you want to do the arithmetic. But for goodness sake, it is absolutely outrageous to put this woman in jail. But thank God she was free yesterday, and we had about 30 people out there actually who were really, really ecstatic that Tamara was out at last, and she could. And the judge said something. I want you to take note of this. Just as he was telling Tamara, take your condition seriously here. I don't want to see you back here again. He said to the court security, take off those shackles. Take off those shackles, because she was literally bound. Tamara was literally bound with shackles, being treated like she was some kind of public enemy number one in the courtroom. And I thought that single declaration encapsulated everything about yesterday. So we've got some great footage here, supplied by some great people on YouTube and Twitter. Live from the Shed was there, as was Daisy Media. We want to thank Daisy Media especially for this. So let's run that footage, please.
Something to say, and then she's going to be off. Quiet! Thanks so much. Thank you, Tamara. We love you. Love you very much. Thank you.
Be safe. Be safe.
Tamara.
Be safe, Tamara. Be
We
safe.
love you.
Be safe,
I'm very
Tamara.
thankful for the people
We
who
love
put up
you.
with it during this whole thing. So that's great. So if we can move on to some of the other things we've done this week, a very big story last weekend, and I think this is probably the biggest story in the world right now, but it's underreported because people don't understand what's going on here. And it's not just European farmers, but last Saturday, Canadians came out to support Dutch farmers who are essentially being crowded off their land and told they can't farm it because fertilizer is now anathema to the Green New Deal people and the World Bank and the World Economic Forum, people who want to push this green agenda. Nitrogen is apparently a bad factor in creating these greenhouse gases. No, it's not Al Gore flying around the world in his private jet and living in a mansion 6 times the size of an ordinary house. Those people aren't the cause of global warming. It's nitrogen in the fertilizer. So I tell you what, we have a choice here. We can either continue to eat or we can go to bed every night fretting about global warming and the climate change catastrophe that is supposedly coming. We all know it's nonsense. So we have to deal with this in a responsible and sensible way and stopping food production. Sorry, that's not responsible or sensible. That's irresponsible. That's insane. So not going to happen as long as Canadians and people around the world who care about freedom and care about eating are going to come out and oppose this. And I think that's a very important story. And we've got to stay on this because Justin Trudeau, our own prime minister, is leading the way with this in terms of putting 35% tariff on fertilizer that's coming from Russia. And it's the only place we're getting it. Farmers are unable to afford to fertilize their field. And there's an added 30% cost in there as well. So what does this come up with? It comes up with no food in the end. And this could lead to a global food shortage, global famine. We've seen this before in communist countries, artificial famines in the name of a political agenda, in the name of an ideology. We don't want this to happen here in Canada. So, and I want to get to the third story. I think very significant. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, he really has gained in luster, over the years since he retired from politics in 2015, and the kid took over in Justin Trudeau, who I never thought Trudeau was going to beat Harper in 2015, even at the last moment, because the polls were pretty even, and I didn't expect Justin Trudeau to take that election. I was shocked that Canadians would put their faith in somebody with absolutely no experience except as a drama teacher. But Stephen Harper really has become an elder statesman over the years. He's commented on a lot of things. He was very involved in the free trade discussions. And he has placed his support 100% directly behind Member of Parliament Pierre Poilievre, who's running for the Conservative Party of Canada leadership contest. And Pierre was already way ahead in terms of the members sold, in terms of popular support in the polls that I've seen. But I think, as I say in the column, I think this seals the deal. I really do think it seals the deal here for Pierre, because Stephen Harper is not just an elder statesman for the country. He is very much an icon in the Conservative Party. He created the Conservative Party. It was his initiative. It was his will that got the Canadian Alliance and the old Progressive Conservative, that oxymoron party, Progressive Conservative, got them together to create a truly conservative party of Canada. And I think he was the first conservative, truly small c conservative prime minister we've had probably in the last half of the 20th century and beyond. And he was very much ideologically motivated in his younger days. He was a true conservative. He knew he couldn't implement everything he wanted. So there was a pragmatic side to Stephen Harper. He got a lot of good things done while he was there. And I give him credit for that. But I also give him credit for saying, with his endorsement of Pierre Poilievre, that this party has got to stay conservative. Enough is enough. To quote Eddie Greenspan, enough is enough, because we've had one lackluster leader in the past here who moved the party so far to the left it was indistinguishable from the Liberal Party of Canada. So I think Stephen Harper is saying no left turn. And this is ironically a warning I gave to him many years ago in 2005. I was thinking, keep this conservative party conservative. He certainly did that eventually and inevitably. But I think he's saying right now, if we want the Conservative Party of Canada to be truly principled Conservative Party, we need to elect Pierre Poilievre, because not only is he talking about conservative policies, he seems energized and awoken to them. Not woke, but awoken to conservative policies. And I tell you this, whether you have any doubts about the man, nobody else is saying it like he is. Look at the crowds that are coming out. Look at the enthusiasm he's generating. Look at the people who are saying, I'm interested in politics again. I'm going to vote because Pierre Poilievre has got me energized, has got me interested in politics again. Hasn't happened in Canada in a long time. In fact, maybe since Stephen Harper first ran for prime minister. And that was quite a while ago. But I tell you, Pierre Poilievre is the only viable choice. There's some other great candidates. I love Leston Lewis. I think she's fantastic. I love her stands on economic and social issues, especially her pro-life stance. Roman Barber, fantastic on the issues. But I tell you, who is going to win and who's a conservative and who can win? That's Pierre Poilievre. And I think he's going to take this. Certainly now he has really sealed the deal, as I say, with Stephen Harper's endorsement. And this will also bring a sense of party unity. People, if anybody says, I don't like Poilievre, he's too extreme, or he's too frenetic, or he's saying things that the average Canadian won't comprehend or understand. This is all nonsense, by the way. But if there are those people in the party, Stephen Harper is a voice of reason and moderation. And they're going to say, okay, if Stephen Harper supports Pierre Poilievre, I think I will too. And I think I can live with this. And I think the party needs to stay unified in order to replace Justin Trudeau or whomever runs in the next election. It might not be Justin Trudeau, but it might come as early as the fall with Justin Trudeau again. And we need a Pierre Poilievre there to beat him. So that's how the week has been looking. We've had some exciting news stories, and I keep bringing them to you. Thank you for your support for the YouTube channel, Creighton's Right with David Creighton. We went way over 100 subscribers. I think we're in the 140 range now, much more than I anticipated this early. Thank you. We need to keep signing up, keep supporting this, because this is going to be, I predict, one of the biggest YouTube channels in Canada within. If I'm being optimistic, yes, I am. But we need to be optimistic right now. We've had too much pessimism under Justin Trudeau. We've had too much pessimism saying, with the country's being taken away from us. We are going to take the country back in this next election. And this is something we have to do. So keep on watching YouTube, keep on subscribing, keep on signing up. And to get to the last bit, keep on reading my columns. I read about a column a day. Some people at the Western Standard say, how do you do it? Well, it's the most fun I've had in a long time. And so subscribe to the Western Standard, become a member of that media outlet. It's truly independent. We don't take a cent, not a penny, from the Trudeau government. We're not subsidized in any way. We're truly independent media, and that's www.westernstandard.news. So subscribe today, become a member, and it's really time for you out there to show your support for independent media, because if you don't, all we have is subsidized mainstream media that are essentially becoming more and more state media. The more money the government throws at them, the less responsibility they think they have to report the truth or to be tough with that Liberal government. This has all got to be repealed, by the way, under Pierre Poilievre, if he becomes prime minister, and when he becomes prime minister. He's got to remove all of these subsidies from media, and I hope he sells off the CBC. I hope he at least privatizes it, because there's no reason anymore to have a state media broadcasting that is accepting money for commercials as well as $1 billion every year from taxpayers. Independent media, that's where we are. So keep on reading my columns, keep on watching me on YouTube, keep on reading my daily Twitter updates, and keep on supporting us, because I think this is where the country's headed. We're headed for freedom. Pierre Poilievre talks about that quite a lot. We're headed for freedom, and this is where we want to be. We're in a good place. We're getting in a better place. It's been tough. We've been through some bad authoritarian years under Justin Trudeau, but I tell you, his time is almost over. His time is almost over. So keep on fighting and keep reading. And for Creighton's Right with David Creighton, I'm David Creighton, and thank you, and we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.